list as we go through the discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, just some working title. Of course, it can be changed later. And
Casey. I'm sorry to this. Quick question. I think still having an overview paper, just like Verily suggested, maybe that's what you were.
That's what Jamie's paper is.
Okay.
But then
We
the
already
title
have one, and we're not going to reinvent it. We need
I don't think Jamie's paper is an overview paper yet. I mean, and the title is definitely not overview.
I don't want to work this here.
Okay.
This is not a good place to do this in public like this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we don't need to be fighting about this.
But let me just make the point, regardless of who's doing that paper, but overview papers that sort of state to the point that this is a cross-disciplinary subject with smaller portions in it, it's a great overview paper that leads into 5 other papers there.
Right. But I also want to encourage, if somebody has, like Verl, if you have an idea you think it's not in a good overview paper and you have a different overview, you should write that.
Yeah, this is Ralph.
Not a competition. The more the merrier is what we're hearing from different authors is good. It shows interest.
Yeah, this is Ralph. If I could just say something, some of you guys are familiar with what the white papers that went into Planetary, and some of you are not. Just suffice it to say, I think Casey's right. I mean, it turns out that 10 years ago, the Planetary Decadal got about 210 white papers. This time they got about 550.
Whoa.
To give you an idea of the kind of volume of things that are being generated. And now this is on Planetary, not on Helio. I don't know what the count was for 10 years ago going into solar and space physics, but everybody is at home, right? And so they've got plenty of spare time on their hands. And also I was involved with several of these for Planetary, and I think a couple of them got thrown together in maybe 3 weeks. One of them that was on radioisotope power sources for spacecraft ended up taking 4 months to put together because we were trying to get a consensus amongst about 20 different people. So starting early on these things is a lot better than waiting until the last minute. And I'll be quiet now.
Okay.
I have another rather maybe political question about those decadal white papers. Is it beneficial or rather not if, I mean, I'm wondering about, well, writing or contributing something here, but I have an European affiliation, so no US affiliation. Is this beneficial or not? Or is it better to have as a lead author someone with an American affiliation?
Actually, it's beneficial to have people that are coming in from outside of the U.S. as well. I mean, it would be good to have people that were co-authors that are from the U.S., but having a lead from Europe is okay because there are people that get pulled in to this whole evaluation process that are from outside of the U.S. And one of the reasons for doing that is for the national academies to reach out and make sure that, it really is about the science, that it's not over some, centralized U.S. Concept or whatever. That's to really reach out. At least this is how it's always worked in the past. So outside U.S. contributions are certainly appreciated because what it does is it sends a signal that this is really.
Ralph, we can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
Somebody muted you.
I had it muted for all of that. I'm sorry. I was saying, and I'll make it shorter this time.
No, we heard most of it. We heard everything except the last 5 seconds.
We heard most of it. Yeah.
It's just suffice it to say it's important. It's important to get contributions from people around the world because it really says that these are important science questions, and it's not just some some local thing. So
all right. So I will think about adding something, or at least contributing, of course, on the topic of measuring interstellar neutrals when going out. And we should opt for 3 to 4 pages by next spring, and then start, how to say, disseminate this among ourselves and among the community, and then be ready for next fall, if I got this correct.
Yeah, and actually, one thing that happened, I know, with some of the white papers for planetary is some of them were posted early on as drafts onto the archive server for general comments and and exposure, and it sort of depends. But I mean, that was a mechanism. I wasn't involved in any that did that. I don't know, Casey and some of the others may have been, but it's a tool that some people were using.
That's a very good point. And to your point, Andre, about the page limit, the page limit is, I believe, at least from Planetary, it was 7 pages, including references and figures, and that's a really, really tight page limit. I would recommend everybody go for that page limit for late spring. If you try to cram this into 3 pages, that's going to be tough.
So let me just address some questions that I see in the chat. If you were
Elena, can I say one more thing? I'm sorry, I was muted.
Yeah.
Go fast. Andre Verl, I just want to point out to you, these white papers are not a competition. In my humble opinion, the more the merrier. If you think that you're overlapping with somebody, there's no problem with that.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact, if to say it slightly different, what I've heard before, if 5 different people, 5 totally different groups, put in roughly the same kind of white papers, that says to the outside reader who's not an expert, wow, 5 different groups from all over the world are really excited about this. This must be really important science.
Got your point. Yes,
that's correct.
Nobody's going to win this science. It's more like the more the merrier and the bigger the interest. Thanks, Elena.
Let me give you a perfect example, and then I'll shut up for 5 minutes. So I reached out to the astrophysics group. Casey will remember this. This was fun. And I asked them, hey, we got to start thinking about an interstellar paper for the astrophysics decadal. And they came back and said, it's too late. We already submitted it. And guess what? You're not on it. That is perfect. That's what we want.
Thank you, Pontus. Yes, I see some people dropped from the discussion. So again, just to orient you, we're looking at the list of white papers that we compiled last year, and we add white papers that we plan to submit to the decadal. So for example, if you submitted paper for Helio 2050 and you plan to extend it to white paper for the decadal, please add your title here and your name and so on. Yeah, I would like to come back to the point that Drew touched on about what actually white paper is, because discussing this question between sort of early career people in the last couple of months, I know that we somewhat a little bit lost exactly how you formulate the message in the white paper. And it's excellent that Drew pointed out that it's better to focus on the specific aspect of a big topic. I would like to talk about that maybe a little bit later, but it's something important. We as early career people need some advice on how to write the white paper efficiently. For someone who never done that before, would be very useful. So let's move on a little bit down the list. So Pontus, we have your paper, and of course it's going to be extended into the paper for the decadal. Sony, are you online? So,
yep, I'm here.
Yes. So this paper that we have here in the list, are you planning to submit it to the decadal, or it's more for the planetary, which I think deadline passed already, right?
I hadn't really thought about it, but I certainly can retool it a little bit to submit to the decadal.
Excellent. That's great. I think that this topic I think it fits to the decadal. I mean, because on the first column I see it says planetary, and I think it fits to the decadal because we're looking at the solar system, and it's sort of expands, I think, heliophysics, sort of cross-disciplinary paper. So I think it would be great.
Looking back at the whole heliosphere.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this is, yeah, looking for the solar system, the whole solar system as we leave the heliosphere. I think that's perfect. So Ben was planning to write a paper on plasma microphysics. So we should get in touch with Ben. So my paper, so we wrote a paper on, not exactly this title, on how our heliosphere helps us to understand other astrospheres. And we definitely plan to expand it and submit to the decadal. Well, John, I don't know if John or Madge is online, but I think they're planning to expand their Helio 2050 paper for the decadal. Stuart, are you online? Or Bill? See, Stuart and Bill. So we should get in touch with them to see what their plan is. So these papers were submitted. So Seth, I don't know if you're online.
Yeah, I'm here.
So do you plan to write the paper for the decadal on this topic?
Yeah, Jeff and I put something together, and it looks like we have 2 lines there. So I think we can take, I'll take that one out.
Oh, okay.
But
okay,
Jeff and I wrote one dealing with these topics, and I think he was the lead.
Yes,
And I've seen a pretty developed draft of it, and I think we submitted it earlier, and we're planning to submit it to the Helio 2050. Have you seen?
So I know that Jeff submitted a paper to Helio 2050, the 3-page, and I think even before that, he sent me the 8-page paper, which was ready for the decadal.
Yeah.
So that's going to be one. I mean, there are 2 lines. If you could remove one, just.
Yep, I'll do that now.
Thank you. Yes. So next paper is already submitted to Astro. Thank you. It's great.
Well, so can I jump in real quick there? So just to give a status report, it was submitted to Astro a while ago now, 18 months or something. So because this community may not know, the Astro Decadal has met and convened and is writing their report, and they're expected to release results in the springtime. I've heard informally from people on that committee that they liked the idea, they thought it was cool, and something that's eminently doable, but it won't get very much air because what they're mostly concerned about is the really big flagship stuff. And so, you know, I'm hoping there is a sentence like, this is a great idea and we should really support this, and we can use that within the Astro community, and that's probably sufficient. Now, I also submitted a white paper on this to the Helio 2050 workshop, a 3-pager, with the idea that I was responding, or we were responding, I should say, to, there was some verbiage about, you know, science that might be enabled kind of along the way. I forget the exact words. So I don't know what the end result of that will be. I don't propose that submitting this again to Helio white paper, you know, what we're talking about here is a good idea, but I do think we should really consider, and it might be Andrew Poppy's paper, I can't really see, really explicitly tying studies of our debris disk into exoplanetary systems. Because I think that's that angle's a little bit underplayed, and I think that, I hope that sparks interest, because, you know, we're really at the stage now where we can be doing comparative studies, and we should be thinking about that.
Mike, that's exactly in the spirit of the exoplanet analog and understanding that that we talked about with SMD from the very start. That the in situ measurements we have of our planets and our own solar system used to understand exoplanets, I think that's a really important point. Thank you for bringing it up.
Sure, I'm I'm having trouble because I'm on my phone because I'm double teaming meetings here, but I am. Does Abby have such a white paper here? I can't really see one.
I was kind of piggybacking off Sonny Harmon's paper. Looking back is looking forward.
Okay.
I don't think that Sonny's work talks about the dust disk aspect of it, though. And so I think that Mike's suggestion should be its own white paper.
Observational hurdle, not as a.
Gotcha. As an observational hurdle, but not as a scientifically valuable point in itself.
Right, and Mike, to that fact, one of the things I've just had a discussion with some of the APL people this week, your notional design of a 3-color fly's eye camera for a look back, I don't think that is actually out in the community.
I think that Sonny is the closest we have to somebody who's spoken about that. So
I talked to him and it wasn't in his papers, just to point out. He actually bounced me to you. If you think it is important to get out, that is an item that should be included in a white paper.
Oh boy, that's a whole discussion. We can punt on that for right now.
Can I just comment? Sonny's paper doesn't define the telescope or suggest a telescope. I don't think we want to limit ourselves to a 3-color camera until we've really had that conversation properly.
Well, you're right, Abby, you can take it 2 ways. One, you can be general. The other is you can say, go with the idea that you need to show that you can actually do this kind of thing in a 2030 timeframe. Otherwise, it's, as Ralph has been saying often, it's a nice idea, but it has no actual functional reality. It's dreaming. To misquote Edison.
It was very much where we were getting to following the end of our discussion this week. So we made a lot of progress there. Maybe we could get together and combine with Candy Hansen and Kirby, but we really need to talk about it some more before we put something out there that would be considered a recommendation, I think.
Oh, you may be getting me wrong. I'm not pushing the 3-color fly's eye camera. I'm pushing something to actually say, to talk to people and say, this is more than just notional, this is doable. That's an important thing. That's why we talk about the visible infrared spectral mapper. We talk about pseudo light, which is the IDA. We show that this is real technology that's close to off the shelf. Otherwise, it's not. You need that oomph in order to keep pushing to get your instrument. If otherwise, it's just a nice idea that's probably not going to go too far.
Right. Let me get back to my working group, and we'll see if we can get a volunteer.
Yeah, or get something. Get 2 or 3 ideas on paper and see which one actually you think you could actually put on an ISP.
Good. All right, take your point. Thank you.
Sure.
All right, that's great. So the next I have here is Spectral Science Priorities for Infrared Spectrometer with Interstellar Probe by Kathleen and Michael and Casey. Are you planning to submit that, to lead this one? Casey, do you know anything about the status of this one?
We need to, is Caitlin online? I think when we had last roughed it out, that's one she should be leading. And so I can ask her about that.
Yeah,
she's not on with us right now. We'll have to follow up with her.
All right, but that's an action I will take. She literally just down the road from me here. She's moved over to the DC area. And she's very excited about the possibilities of what you can do with them. We haven't as fleshed out as much as we could. PAWS, infrared studies of ICEs on KBOs. So I think she would like to be pushing on that.
Okay, great. Thank you for following up with her.
I will do that. And I should have gone into the planetary as well. I'll ask her.
Okay, so next we have Bob. I know Bob submitted paper for Helio 2050, and I assume that he will expand it for the decadal.
Correct.
Thanks, Bob. Stefan, are you planning to expand your paper for the decadal?
Yes, that's the plan, and I need to talk to some other people maybe to expand the author list or ask them to submit as well. I also like the idea of more people submitting one and not just one on reconnection. So I really encourage that idea as well.
Yeah, maybe we can think about different subtopics for reconnection.
Yeah.
And see if people would be, you know, try to think about the people who would be interested to lead this.
Yeah.
Stefan, I'd be interested in supporting for a very focused, I'm just thinking like 1 or 2 pages on particle acceleration associated with reconnection and potentially using the energetic particles as tracers of remote reconnection.
Excellent. Sorry. Yeah, I also think that you know, we're seeing some turbulence papers here. I think that ties into reconnection as part of it. But we should also, I know Merov and Jim Drake are also talking about, you know, heliospheric current sheet reconnection. So perhaps those two could be split into, like, you know, one smaller scale and one the bigger scale. But we also need to get a better understanding of pickup ion densities out there and how they impact parameters. So I'm going to reach out to Matt Hill here also.
Okay, great. So we already talked about this paper by Jeff and Seth. It's already written. Then, oh, okay. Somebody just edited the line 19. Or was it me who did that? Okay, it was me who did that. I'm sorry. So I see Kelly, last year, she was planning to write a paper on multi-generational teams planning the mission. I think it's a very important topic. I don't know if we heard from Kelly. We should probably touch base with her.
This is Harold speaking. Particle acceleration and you know, a current sheet stuff. I can contribute to that. I think who was that? Drew, you were there. I think you mentioned that topic, so you can contact me. I can support it.
Great, Harold. Thank you. I was just thinking one too on shock acceleration. We can coordinate this within the particles working groups, the topical groups too. Because yeah, there's a host here that we can write these focused ones.
That would be great. Get in touch with me.
For sure, Harold. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Drew, could you please put down below the topics that you are thinking for the papers?
I'll leave the lead author blank, and I'm just going to put co-authors and list Harold and myself, and of course anyone else that wants to add in there, please do. Yeah, I definitely don't want to sign up to write all of them, but I'm happy to help coordinate, for sure.
Yeah,
so I think if we put our heads together and work together, I mean, I don't have that much time as well, so I think we can produce something.
Okay, yeah, just put down topics, making sure that we remember this. So Parisa, are you online?
Yes, I am.
So do you plan to submit a paper for the decadal on shocks?
Yeah, I do.
Excellent, that's great. So
I just break in on the...
Yes, Abby, please.
Sorry. So the one you had on creating multi-generational teams, it was a very nice white paper that Glenn Fontaine, I think, coordinated with David Ranecki, who's one of Janet Battisi's students or postdocs, which we put into the planetary decadal survey. So I don't know if you want to do two that are similar, or if we might want to combine them, but maybe just to let Kelly know.
Yeah, I think we should let Kelly know and maybe ask her what aspects she was planning to put in the paper. Maybe we could have two papers, because it is a very important topic.
Oh, yeah.
So I think having two papers would be great on this topic, but we should probably coordinate.
It's online, so you should be able to, I think they're all online. Yeah, they're all online on the planetary decadal survey. Maybe I'll drop a quick email. I see your emails in the spreadsheet.
So I think the paper that you're talking by Glenn and somebody else, you said it's not captured in this list, right?
I just added it lower down.
Okay, thank you.
Hear them to put it in again, but I know that was their intention, and they also put it in for Helio 2050, because the one they put in for planetary was actually a shortened version of that.
Okay, excellent. Yes, I see you added this. Great.
Sorry, can you please continue?
And this is probably something that we are building up today, right? The importance of flagship class missions.
sorry, if you want to jump down to that one, I know I need to go back up the list, but while I'm here, I'm volunteering Heidi Hamill for that, but not without good reason, because she did intend to write exactly that white paper for the Planetary Decadal Survey, and she just didn't have time. She's also just recently had a very nice paper on exactly that topic accepted by the Royal Society in the Ice Giant special issue. So I think she'll be happy to do it, and I'm going to prod her.
Okay. Stefan, are you online? Could you please comment on the papers that you're planning to submit?
Yeah, so we have an abstract developed for the second paper where I would need some co-authors to develop. I'm not sure if there are any existing articles on CME impacts for interstellar dust, but fairly interesting way to understand dispersion of materials in planetesimal formation. In terms of the second paper, we had this morning, and it was discussing possible deployable CubeSats from the Interstellar probe to either use for perspectral sensors or other multi-locational surveys, and that and a poster submitted along with the abstract developed. So we'd be welcome to any co-authors that would want to join us on that and review the work we already have and add to it.
Okay, great. So yeah, I would like to ask everyone to look through this list, and if you would like to support any of these papers, please add your name in co-authors column. So Drew, I see you added a couple of lines. Could you please just give a summary a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So I figured with that top one there, the overview white paper on the compelling science for particles with an interstellar probe mission, that would basically be the kind of top level overview paper that Pontus was talking about for the particles topical groups. And then we would coordinate then with a series of targeted focused white papers pertaining to the science of interstellar probe with the different particle instruments. And then I've just listed a few examples of those that I'd be interested in either leading or working on. First one being focused white paper on cosmic ray science targets, which Matt and I will coordinate. I think we actually probably have the potential for a few white papers there, at least from us, probably the community as well. There's plenty of interesting science to be done there. Another one on focused white paper on shock acceleration of energetic particles, and then a third focused one on energetic particle acceleration associated with turbulence and magnetic reconnection, specific, of course, to interstellar probe.
Okay,
so
thank you.
That's all I've got there.
Yes, I also had a comment. Drew, do you think that having a paper on pickup ions, the separate paper devoted just to pickup ions, because it was emphasized several times yesterday?
Oh, no doubt whatsoever. There should be a white paper on pickup ions, considering their importance to the boundaries in the outer heliosphere. No doubt whatsoever. There should be one, at least one.
Yeah,
I shouldn't write that one. I can help coordinate it again, but I shouldn't write that one. That's not my science area of expertise. It would be much better off coming from somebody who is more expert in that area.
This is Casey. I want to make a logistical comment.
Yeah, sure, Casey.
No, don't be sorry. I'm very impressed with all the white papers that we have, and we're generating new ones. It occurs to me that if we want to try and get the maximal amount of participation from our team on these white papers, in the future, it's going to be we're all going to lose touch. Because right now, we're all talking to each other. But in the next weeks and months to come, people are going to generate white papers at different times. It's going to be hard to reach out to everybody. If we could have a coordinated or a simple summary email list for everybody in this group that'd be interested in being on a white paper, so that when, let's say, I generate or somebody else generates in next March a white paper and then says, do you want to be on it? I don't have to go find everybody who could possibly be on it. There's actually a set list that is set up by the ISP organization, by our team, that I can simply just go and say, okay, I may spam these people a little bit, but I might find that 20 of them are very interested in being the authors on this paper. So can we help set that up? Just simply an email list of all the people that could possibly be interested on these different ways. It will also help me in the future be on some of these white papers that I might miss.
I think that's really important.
I think it's a great idea, yes, Casey.
Yeah, I think one of the simple ideas that come to my mind is we send out sort of, after the monthly tag-ups that Elena is suggesting, let's send out a global email to the global email list of the updates.
There's a note in the chat from Andrea about having some ideas that we might be able to work on. So why don't we take that as an action to work on, Casey? It's a good suggestion.
More participation, better.
So I want to take a second here. We have about 30 minutes left in this session, and then a break until 11:45 when we begin June's talk about radioisotope. This has been a lot of progress, a lot of good discussion. I just wanted to kind of make everybody aware of where we were and then keep going.
Thank you, Michael. I suggest we spend another maybe 10 or 15 minutes to finish this important discussion and then finish the outline that I planned for the meeting. So Kostas, would you like to comment on the paper? I know you submitted to Helio 2050.
Yes, that's correct. So we submitted a couple of months ago to the Helio 250 workshop, and I think we can plan to submit another one, a longer one, and expand this one along the lines of the previous. I also took a note of the co-authors for the previous paper, so I'm going to reach out to them and everyone else that is interested in this particular topic. And it's mostly from the perspective of observations and measurements and what do we need for the future, from a future mission like the Interstellar probe, for example, to basically understand the pressure balance and the formation of the heliosphere, its interaction with the local interstellar medium and so on.
Okay, very nice. That's great. That's great to hear. That you do that. Okay.
So, this is Harold again. I have a question for you guys. When I look at the list we have right now, and potentially it's going to get much bigger, I just wonder, it looks a little bit fragmented. So I think what would be a good idea to have sort of papers that actually summarize, making a sort of a point that all this stuff is needed and be, also interdisciplinary. How can one group fertilize or make good contributions to another one and vice versa? I think that would be great also in terms of the science as well as for the measurements. We have different developments of detectors. We have different developments of how measure things. And I think if, we would present that and we would design the payload accordingly, would make a good point, when we lay out the methodology and then how to measure things. I think that would be a great point. I don't know if you would envision to, get papers done that sort of put the fragments together.
I think it's a very good point, Harold, and we can possibly reference when we write this paper, the sort of that connects all other focused aspects. We could possibly reference to those papers to it.
Right. It's more or less, of course, these pieces are very important, but for a reader to get the outline, what the different points are in terms of science and what we can measure and vice versa, I think that would be a good way to go.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's one of the ideas behind the overview paper. Not only do we want to sort of frame the mission concept as it is, the science mission concept, but make references to all of these papers. And that's why I push getting these out there as early as possible so we can cross-coordinate and have that in that overview paper on line 5. That's one of them. There's several other overview papers, I'm sure.
I got to ask Harold, though, it seems that you were also pushing towards the discussion about the fact that the instruments could synergistically serve different science areas. Was that the case?
Yes. Yes. So, we have different measurements techniques and how they can play together. Let's just take an example how, let's say, the dust experiment can sort of contribute to the neutron measurements and vice versa. And so that kind of stuff, I think I'm missing a little bit. Also, the remote sensing observation versus the in situ observation. I think that's what I'm missing as well a little bit when I read through the current structure of the white papers or the current list of the white papers.
For example, it's Costas, sorry to interrupt. The synergy between remote measurements and in situ measurements are partly covered in the white paper that I submit and I plan to submit. So perhaps we can also expand it with somebody else that is writing, for example, just in situ or just imaging or something.
Yeah, there's a natural spot here too with the pickup ions and ENAs, right?
Yes.
That's obviously a clear one.
Right. Okay. Get in touch with me. I'm happy to contribute.
Certainly, yeah.
Thank you.
Can you please add your name in the list so I don't forget it?
Say again?
Can you please add your name in the co-authors?
Costas, you're talking very close to the mic or your microphone's saturating. It's hard to hear you. You might want to turn it down.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
That's a little better.
Okay, so can you just add your names in the list in the co-authors so that I can find you in?
Oh yeah, drop your gain a little bit more would be helpful. You're still buzzing out.
Or type in the chat, maybe.
He's saying to add the names for anyone that's interested on the spreadsheet.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome, Costas.
So you can add my name there, and that's fine. So I think Robbie, shut up now for a moment that we can go through all the topics we have. Sorry about that.
Okay, so we'll move on. So I see, Drew, you added topic on shock acceleration. We need to find somebody who'd be interested to lead this.
Yeah, you can put my name as a placeholder for now. I'd be, again, for a focused one, just like 1 to 2 pages, I'd be happy to do that. We should also strategize on, I don't want to be the lead on too many if that's going to hurt the cause here.
Okay.
So in terms of shock acceleration, Drew, I can help you out.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, you're there.
I've listed your name already, Harold.
So also in terms of leading stuff or whatever, I can help out.
Oh, excellent. Harold, can I put your name down to lead that one then for now?
For now, you can put my name there.
Excellent. And I'll be sure to bug you if you aren't leading enough.
Feel free to bug me.
All right.
I'm used to it. Thanks.
Great, thank you. So Andre, could you, if you're online, could you comment on this paper?
Yeah, I basically just noted what I what I said 15 minutes ago. I'd suggest to write a white paper with the aid of our topical group, of course, and also with additional people. I'm sitting here in the Zoom meeting and with some other people that are well versed in the science of measuring interstellar neutrals. And of course, it's good to be in touch with each other, with other people writing, related white papers, so that we can make use of all the synergies that are there. The title is just, it's a working title. So if you have a fancier idea, then just please let me know. And if you already know now that you would like to contribute to this white paper and interstellar neutrals, just write me a mail.
Yeah, I would certainly be interested in.
All right, yeah, please go ahead and
add my name there.
Yes.
All right, so Matt is planning to extend his white paper, right?
Yeah, and I saw it's similar. Drew has something too about cosmic rays. I could maybe make this one focus a little bit on the low energies, on the ones will be brand new when we get in the LISM.
Yeah, Matt, totally agreed. Like there's plenty we can divide and conquer on with cosmic ray science.
Yeah.
Okay, so Virli and Stefan, thank you for adding the titles of your white papers. So I added importance of p-compines, so we don't forget about this important topic. And Matt, you also added another one. So I think the one topic that is sort of missing here is related to modeling, because we heavily rely on modeling to interpret either one-point spacecraft data or the global imaging. And I think an interesting question to think about is where we want our global models to be in, I don't know, 20 or 30 years. I don't know what your thoughts would be on this. I don't know who would be leading. I can certainly help to coordinate this paper. But I would like to hear your thoughts. What do you think about this topic?
Modeling as a technique, or?
No, I mean the global models.
Oh.
Yeah, we have the number of global models in the community, and we use them to both explain the data, Voyager data right now, and the global imaging data from IBEX and from future IMAP data. And I think it's a fair question to ask. What?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, basically, I think what you're talking about is what are models currently missing, and what do we need from an interstellar probe and its measurements?
Yeah, what models are missing, and to push models forward, it's the physics that you need to put in there, and it's also the computational resources that you need to to put that physics. For example, if you want to look at the reconnection in the heliosheath, if it's happening or not, you need high resolution simulations. And to look at any instabilities at the heliopods, you need high resolution simulations. And it requires extensive computational resources. So I think there are a number of important aspects that could be discussed in such white paper.
Elena, there's a good, I suggest you coordinate this effort with the SHIELD Center, because this is the task they're charged with, in fact, develop these models, and they are writing their own things. I mean, we are writing, I'm part of that consortium. I think it would be better if you guys coordinate your efforts and come up with a series of white papers on different aspects of the modeling. And there's expertise in that center that maybe is missing right now from the list of participants that I'm seeing here.
Yes, thank you, Vladimir. That's a very good comment. Yeah, I'll definitely coordinate with Mirav.
Yeah, I also think that Roma, I think you should also be part of that dialogue.
Actually, yes, I think that I should. So you can.
Roma, I'll put your name as well here.
Romana Ratkevich. R-A-T.
No, that's probably not.
And then I-E-W-W-I-C-Z. W-I-C-Z, okay.
Okay, thank you. So.
Global, right? Okay, modeling.
Yeah, of course, we will come up with a better title later.
Elena?
Yes, Ed. Hi.
I'll help you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I can, yeah, I'll talk to Mirav, who would be interested to lead this paper, but I'll probably put my name now under this. And all right, well, I think we got a great list here. If you can think about something else, please come back to this list and put your thoughts and ideas. So when if we do these coordination meetings monthly, I would like one of those meetings to devote to sort of discussion that will help, you know, students and early career scientists on how do you actually write good white papers. I think it will be beneficial for a number of us.
Elena, that's a great idea. May I have another logistical suggestion if you like?
Sure.
At each monthly meeting, we could invite one of the white paper teams or authors to actually present their white paper to the group.
Yes.
That would inform the group. They got feedback. It also shows our younger colleagues how white papers are made.
That's an excellent suggestion, Casey. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there an official template for a white paper, or is it basically free? No official template?
I don't know if any template.
For focused white papers, I think the kind of goal that you're aiming for is keep it short and simple. You want to identify what we know about the particular problem, what the particular problem or outstanding question is, and then your suggestion for the future for how to address that particular outstanding question. Just 3 sections, 1, 2, 3. If you can keep it nice and simple like that, you're basically walking, again, those people that are reviewing and reading these things, you're walking them right through what we know, what we don't know, and then how we think that we can actually know what we don't know, how we can get there.
Mm-hmm. I think Drew's got some excellent advice there. The other thing to get some specific examples, you could go to the Planetary Decadal website at the National Academies, and we can dig out the web link for that, and go take a look and see what the white papers look like.
That would be very helpful. Yeah. So that's a Planetary Decadal survey.
Right, and then that'll give you some idea, because I don't think anything is in concrete yet about the what's going to be done for the space and solar and space physics ones. But my guess is, since this is also via the academies, the format will be fairly similar.
I got to ask, Drew. You stated that so concisely. Was there was there direction from a previous call for white papers that you're gleaning that from? Is there something you could share?
Yeah. Well, it's this is just advice that I've picked up over the last decade or so along the way. But in particular, the white papers that we put together for the MMS extended mission proposal this last round, I learned a lot from that process.
Excellent. And actually, Sunny Harmon just posted in the chat a link to an NAS guide for white papers for the planetary. Thank you, Sunny. And thank you, Drew.
Yeah, we can also, how about doing this? We can pick up the call for white papers for the previous Solar and Physics Decadal, and also the call for white papers for Helio 2050. I think that reflects a lot of that too. Stick that in an email and send it out to everybody.
Are those white papers from the previous call available somewhere?
Exactly. I was going to say, I was muted. For me, directions are good, but if I can actually see concrete examples of previous white papers or what somebody's done before.
Oh yes, they're there.
Really
So
helps.
why not we do like this? We'll post those links. They're easily available on the National Academy's website. And you can download all of them.
Because there's been 2 cycles, right, of that for Helio, I think.
For just ease of use, is that are links to that something we could post at the top of this this Google spreadsheet?
Well, there are a lot of papers.
Just to the where the archive of it is.
Would you like to look into that, Elena?
Yes, definitely.
Great.
Yes. Okay. Okay, I think we will wrap up the discussion on white papers. If you have any more thoughts and ideas, please put them in Google Doc. And there are a couple points that we can discuss in a left 5 minutes. 5 minutes left. I'm going back to my slides. So there was an idea of students and early career scientists and engineers writing white paper. We need to talk about that too. I don't know, I missed the student session this morning. Are there any interest in students to lead such a paper?
Actually, I think yes, because, for example, my young people, they really would like to maybe add something also to the white paper from his thoughts, from their thoughts.
That's great. So maybe we should have a separate discussion on this, Aroma, to get together and help them to form their ideas into the white paper. I'll make a note for myself, and I'll get in touch with you on this topic.
Okay.
Yeah, and I also saw the Miro board that the students have had going in the previous session. There were a lot of good ideas that they could just plop down in a paper.
Excellent.
That's excellent. So we need to think about how we do that in an organized and coordinated way.
Absolutely.
And I think it may be a good exercise too to recruit from that energetic set a couple of students to be the leaders of that, so that we are guiding them and they're coordinating themselves. And there were more than one in that set who seemed to be confident, outspoken folks that might want to coordinate that. So we do some focused recruiting, if you will.
Do we have a paper coming from them, or do we have a related paper that's something like student opportunities or student instrument opportunities on an interstellar probe mission?
That's exactly the point here, is to recruit them to write such a paper. That's exactly what we're talking about, Casey.
Yes.
Yes. Short answer, Casey, is not yet.
Okay, good. If that's what we're asking, as opposed to a specific piece of science or instrument, but more general. Are we planning on having an SDC, a dedicated student instrument ISP? I'm sure we've talked about.
We haven't figured out the cart and the horse yet, so we haven't gotten there.
That sort of thing, in my understanding, is really up for NASA to decide to make important enough to add into a mission. We can advocate for it. We are advocating for it. How we account for that in the current engineering study, in terms of mass and other allocations, is a little challenging. But I think it's really important to do that.
Well, I think that's right, because again, recall what I was saying at the very beginning of the week. I mean, we're putting the menu together, and so having a student involvement on the menu would be a great thing to have on the menu, and then we'll see what happens.
I mean, one of the things you could do to follow up with your metaphor is to have, if you will, an après dessert, and just say 5 kilograms, 5 watts. Just carve out just a blank space, but student dust counter happens, or student instrument happens here.
Oh yeah, we're going to have a 7-course dinner, soup to nuts.
All right.
And this would be the.
Why don't we let Elena go on to the next part? This is another area to talk about.
So one of the final points is that we were planning to have a book with chapters on the aspects of the interstellar probe study, science and engineering. I don't know. Have we initiated any discussions with the publisher yet, Pontus?
Yes, we have. So it's the action is on our table, and we're going to put together a book proposal. It's a fairly standard one, and the division is pretty simple. This will be a chapter book with lead authors, and the entire book will have a couple of lead editors as usual. We have not yet even thought about the outline of chapters or lead authors, but I think what what we want to do is have people start thinking about such chapters. So I think what we want to do is over here, we can start putting together a rough outline, and then we can circulate that among the people on the global email list, so we can concretize the chapters. And this will include not only science, of course. I mean, we have the science, plow through the science traceability matrix with chapters here, but also engineering, longevity aspects, and the social aspects.
Could you also talk about the timeline for such a publication?
Yes, so we do want to start now, because a lot of you know that putting a book together takes at least 2 years. So if we start now, then the book will sort of come to shape in the same time frame as the Solar and Physics, Solar and Space Physics Decadal Survey.
Thanks,
Okay,
Pontus.
so the action on our side, then we need to come up with the outline.
Yeah, I think that's right. So we can put together a rough outline of chapters, and then people can take a hack at that. I think people already now are starting thinking about certain chapters and who wants to be the lead author.
Okay, and finally, I just would like to share with you our upcoming conferences and sessions on the Interstellar Probe. So this fall AGU, we have a 4th annual session that became annual now. Interstellar Probe, Pushing the Boundaries of Space Exploration. It's going to take place on December 9. And then I know that session was proposed to the AOGS meeting in August next year. And I think we will propose the session at the EPSC 2021. That's the plan, right, Pontus? Yes.
Hey, Elena, just one other thing to add there also is there also are currently 2 half-day sessions at COSPAR into January.
Oh, how could I forget? I have a talk there, by the way. I'm sorry.
No problem. We're all juggling a lot these days.
I will update. Yeah, it's going to be right here, COSPAR, correct. And that's January, right? Okay.
January 28th through 4th.
February, yeah.
In February,
Mostly
yeah.
virtual right now.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, okay,
it goes on for a long time. No.
Well, that one too.
Yeah, it's a shame I forgot it here. I'm sorry. Okay, so and we plan to have our workshop, Interstellar Probe Exploration workshop, in a year, correct, Michael?
Yes, that'll be the 4th one we'll hold about this time next year, and we'll see if it'll be virtual again. Maybe we'll get GatherTown version 2.0. And
3D virtual.
Yeah, get your virtual goggles on, and but we'll definitely keep everybody abreast of our planning for that.
So, Elena, in addition, just to let everybody know, there are also a variety of engineering conferences that are going on. We've actually got papers at the RAMS conference on reliability in January. There's the AIAA SciTech conference that's coming up. There's also, I think, 4 papers at the IEEE meeting that's usually in Big Sky, Montana on the engineering side, which will be virtual. There's a paper at one of the astrodynamics meetings. And there's also plans to have a presence at the International Astronautical Congress, which may or may not be virtual and may or may not be in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, about a year from now.
Thank you, Ralph. And that tells me that we really need to update our list of conferences for next year. Thank you. And of course, we plan the session Interstellar Probe next AGU fall. I mean, next year. So that's all for our session. This session. Thank you all very much for your inputs and comments. That was great. I thought
Mrs. Casey, can I ask a real quick question?
Sure.
Real quick, yeah.
AGU inputs, talks, posters, etc. are due Monday now. Can you give us any guidance? Is there any guidance about this session that we should know before we put in our final?
Yes. Feel free to email me questions or Parisa. We're part of the conveners. It's also Justina and Ben Alterman are also the conveners with us. So the upload is on Monday. For talks, it's a pre-recorded PowerPoint presentation that you can export to MP4. That's relatively easy, actually. We have tips for that, so email me about that. But the posters, these are not just simple PDFs that you upload. There's an online template where you actually have to upload figures in a specific format. So that will take some extra time. So start today, please, if you haven't. And after you've uploaded that first draft, you will still be able to edit it.
Okay, thanks, Pontus. All right, so we'll take a 10-minute break here then, and June Zakrajsek has joined us. She's going to talk about the radioisotope power system. June, if you're able, you can share your slides.